Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Saturday, July 27th. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day so far today. This is episode 336 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. We've got a lot to discuss today as the New York Jets had their fourth practice of 2024 training camp. It was back together weekend out at One Jets Drive this afternoon. I was in attendance, so I will be giving you my in-person takeaways from New York Jets training camp, the second open practice to the public. I'm also fired up. I will be heading back out to One Jets Drive on Tuesday for the next open practice. It'll be the first open practice with pads on. So next week should definitely start to really ramp things up as we put a close to July and get closer and closer here to the month of August. We'll break down all of my in-person takeaways today, both offensively and defensively, as the New York Jets have a day off tomorrow before strapping up the pads on Monday. Before we begin, as always, let me tell you about our podcast partners, starting with our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that takes tickets from all over the internet and puts it into one place to make it easier for you, the buyer. What makes SeatGeek so great is you know what type of deal you are getting on your tickets. Green means good, yellow means okay, red means bad. So you know if you're getting a good deal or not, so you make the right purchase for yourself when you are purchasing your tickets. Plus, my viewers, use promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off your purchase. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to download the SeatGeek app. Once again, that is promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off your purchase at SeatGeek. And that is tickets to anything, not just football, not just Jets, not just sports, plays, concerts, shows. If you can buy a ticket for an event, SeatGeek has it. Promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off. Also, my friends over at Huga House. You see me rocking my Huga House hat all the time. I've got the Jets hat on today, but yesterday I was rocking the Huga House hat on the show. If you want the hat that I wear on the program a lot, or one of the hats that QB1 Aaron Rodgers wears. This was Rodgers rolling into camp just a couple days ago, or even Shane Gillis, Shohei Ohtani. Many athletes and celebrities rock the Huga House vintage-inspired hats. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to the Huga House store. Get yourself some Huga House swag, and at checkout, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase and get some of the hats that QB1 Aaron Rodgers is wearing. And speaking of QB1, we saw him out there again today out at One Jets Drive. Another good camp for him, another good practice for him. Today, I thought was a much more competitive, much more, a little bit of a longer practice. I felt a little bit more team drills than they normally do. I think that was more of the ramp-up period. You know, Wednesday was kind of a shorter practice, kind of an hour. Thursday was more of like a 90-minute practice. Friday was pretty full, and then today was even longer, and I think even maybe a little bit longer, was ended around like 12:15, 12:20-ish. So usually they're about 2 hours. Today went about 2 hours, 15 minutes. They probably did one extra set of team drills. So there was really a lot of takeaways that I took today while being out there at Jets practice. And I think part of the little bit of a longer practice was it's the last day of no pads. They have a day off tomorrow, so they could kind of empty the tank a little bit more here before a day off tomorrow, before putting the pads on, where things really start to get real starting on Monday. So I'll start with my offensive takeaways, then we'll get to the defense. Very good day for Aaron Rodgers. It was a fine day for the offense, but I did feel today the defense was probably the best it's been so far in practice. Definitely better than it was on Thursday. A little bit more, getting not so much from just a stopping standpoint, but a little bit more just, I thought the defense was a little bit more lively, a little bit more quick. There was certainly a couple more plays that were favored in the defense. It seemed like at times they kind of made the offense tick off at all levels, first team, second team, third team. So while I do think overall the offense probably won the day and defense actually had to do push-ups after practice, so that means the offense won the day. While that was the case, I thought the defense had a much stronger outing today than they have in the past couple days through the first three practices previously, specifically on Thursday, where pretty much Rodgers and the Jets offense were doing things pretty freely all over the field. So that was kind of one of my overall first main takeaways. But we'll start on offense. First set of team drills. Again, I have a lot more detailed notes because I was there in person, so I'll kind of just break them down. First play of practice, first play of team drills. Rodgers found his old reliable tight end in Tyler Conklin across the middle for a quick kind of 10-yard, 12-yard pass. Good way to get things started, getting the ball to a reliable target in Tyler Conklin and getting things kicked off. And then a little later on after that, during the same set of team drills, I had Rodgers completing two main passes in this. He might have completed another pass or two to either Allen or Breece, one of the running backs, but I maybe didn't write it down because it might have not have been a huge game. It was kind of just a dump off. But the other pass that was really impressive, the other play that was more of a chunk play, was Lazard, where Rodgers was rolling out. There was a little bit of pressure. It seemed like it was from, I believe it was Jermaine Johnson from the edge, really just beat Tyron Smith cleanly. So really good rep by Jermaine Johnson. Those two have been going at it a lot. Those have been some fun battles to watch. Beat Tyron Smith. Rodgers was still able to roll out a little bit, buy himself some time, fired it to Lazard. 15 yards, I would say, 15 to 17 yards on the sideline. And it was on Sauce. It was pretty tight coverage by Sauce. And Lazard was on the sideline, was able to get his 2 feet in. Rodgers rolling out. And it was just a perfect throw by Rodgers to fit it in a tight coverage situation, fit it in on the sideline, and rolling out of the pocket. And those are all things that are all signs that shows he's perfectly healthy, right? If his Achilles really wasn't 100% or stuff like that, he wouldn't be able to roll out and deliver a dart like that. We've seen him on Thursday. We saw him roll out and deliver a dart to Breece on the sideline, a similar play. Pocket collapsed a little bit, rolled out, bought himself some time. Same thing today. Pocket collapsed, rolled out, bought himself some time, found Lazard, who has been one of the biggest standouts so far during training camp. So that was the Rodgers situation. That was Rodgers during his first set of team drills. Then Tyrod on the first play was pressured by pretty much everybody. I mean, everybody was involved. So the first set of team drills for the second team wasn't necessarily great, but for the second team defense, it was a positive. And then he got Corley involved early in practice, which was really good to see. Gibson's out 1 to 2 weeks, as we heard yesterday. This was a great opportunity for Corley today to not only get some first team reps, which he did, but also get even more reps second teams wise, just eat up a lot more reps without Gibson in front of him. And it was a really nice play by Corley where across the middle, Tyrod, it wasn't a bad throw. It could have probably been a little bit better. Corley had to kind of make a little bit of an adjustment to come back to it a little bit. It was slightly underthrown. It's just a really nice grab, just a really nice catch, really nice adjustment by Corley. Good to see that early on in practice. Good to see him capitalizing on some of these valuable reps. The route running definitely has to get better. There was a couple times today where I just watched Corley, and the route running does need to be a little bit sharper. But look, it's the 4th day of training camp. This guy's a rookie. He's going to get better. But it's those little things like that, coming back to the football, across the middle, not afraid to kind of take a hit, just those things. You see the speed on display. So there still is a lot of that other good positive things. And these next 2 weeks, while it's unfortunate Gibson goes down, it's a positive for Corley because he's going to really eat up a lot of these reps. These reps are very, very valuable for him. Then we transitioned into 7v7 drills. Rodgers got things started. First play to Garrett Wilson for about 7 to 10 yards. 7v7 drills, there was a lot of short stuff. There wasn't many long plays. I would say probably the longest play was Lazard, who was about, I would say, 15 to 17 yards. He was up against Michael Carter in the slot and just beat him, just flat out beat him. It was just a really, really nice route by Lazard. Lazard cut to the sideline. Michael Carter kind of bit a little bit for his first move, and it was a really nice play by Lazard. Really nice route. Rodgers got it to him. I would say that was probably about 15 yards, and then he also had Garrett Wilson on kind of a 5-yard slant with Sauce draped all over him in a game that's probably 4 or 5 yards, nothing crazy. So the 7-on-7 drills, there was a lot of short stuff, not so much airing it out. And then, of course, I think he got the ball to Brees once in 7-on-7s. He might have gone it to Braylon Allen as well. I think there might have been one play where he had Lazard in the flat. But these are just some of my bigger takeaways from more of the bigger plays, I guess, if you will. Tyrod also was able to get the ball to Yeboah, and he also got the ball to Malik Taylor. Malik Taylor's been impressive the last two practices. Yesterday had a really good day, and then today, 20 yards downfield in 7-on-7s to Malik Taylor. Really nice throw, really nice catch. Quantez Stiggers was all over him, but perfectly thrown ball. Really nice catch by Taylor to hang on to it. Physical grab. Those two have been going at it a little bit. Taylor and Stiggers have been battling out a little bit. You know, Quantez Stiggers won a couple battles yesterday. Taylor obviously won a couple battles. And even today, there was a couple plays where Stiggers was all over him. So those two have been going at it. And Malik Taylor here, little by little, back-to-back days has been very productive. You know, you don't know if he'll make the roster, but certainly when you look at the bottom, the kind of deeper in this depth chart from a wide receiving perspective, there certainly is an open door there for some competition between a guy like Brownlee, who I thought had a very productive day. We'll get to him here soon. But even a guy like that, and even a Malik Taylor, Irv Charles, obviously, like on special teams, so he'll make the roster most likely with just special teams value. But Malik Taylor making a case to find a spot potentially on the 53 here with 2 good days in a row. And then those were the main takeaways there, 7v7 wise. Tyler Harrell and Brownlee also had a nice catch. Those were working with the third team, working with Peasley. Tyler Harrell had a very good day today. Showed off some of his speed, showed off some of that speed that he had in college. A really kind of just a speedster. Could probably use some sharpening from a receiving perspective, but there's probably some untapped potential there. You know, I don't know if he'll make the roster. It'll be very tough. He's really on the outside, but it was a pretty good day for him. So then 3 more sets of team drills. These were kind of like drive the field drills after the 7v7 stuff. Rodgers had a beautiful ball to Garrett Wilson, 15 to 20 yards downfield. Garrett Wilson just simply beat DJ Reed wide open. Rodgers fitted right into the open pocket, and that was a great play. Great play down the field, 15, 20 yards. I mean, those are just or I'm sorry, not 15, 20 yards, 40 plus yards down the field, wide open, beat Reed. There was another play too earlier on where Rodgers was able to get it to Garrett Wilson for about 15 to 20 yards. So during the drive the field period, Rodgers got it to Garrett Wilson for about 15 to 20 yards. And then a couple plays later, he got it to him again, 40 plus yards downfield, wide open, beat DJ Reed. A possible touchdown. Tony Adams came over in a real game with pads. He might have been able to cut him off and tackle him. But in the no pad situation, it was a touchdown. I don't know how many people officially counted it a touchdown, but it was just 40 yards, bomb downfield, beat DJ Reed cleanly, wide open. Rodgers fitted in perfectly, and those two continue to build chemistry. Rodgers also had one play where Rucker did have a drop. Jermaine Johnson quickly came off the edge, just beat Smith, and Rodgers with his quick throw, just ability to throw, get it out so quickly, he was able to evade the pressure. But a kind of a rare drop this training camp for Rucker, who's been pretty much flawless during the previous 3 days. And in some second team Tyrod notes, Brownlee had a really nice catch against Jarek Bernard Converse. Very tight coverage, was all over him, slant across the middle, perfect grab, perfect throw. So Brownlee had a nice day. And he also, Yeboah had a nice play I saw in tight coverage. So some of the other tight ends as well getting involved. And then in red zone drills, Rodgers found his man Lazard. They were on like the 1 or 2 yard line. Lazard ran a little kind of flat, stopped in the end zone. Rodgers pretty open, got it to Lazard, kind of a 2 yard flat end zone, and got the job done. So Lazard with another touchdown. That is, I think, his, 3rd touchdown in 4 days, which is crazy considering this guy was not existent at all last year. So early on, Allen Lazard making a case for turnaround. I won't say comeback player of the year, but comeback player of the year from a Jets standpoint, not an NFL standpoint, but because he's coming back from sucking. So early signs are Rodgers has got Lazard locked in again, which is a positive. And then more drills after that. Final set. These are some more drive the field drills. Another nice play by Brownlee. Really tough catch against Stiggers. Really, really nice grab. Brownlee had 3 or 4 really good, tough physical grabs today, which was a positive for him. Kind of a quiet camp so far. Today got some of those reps with the second team and made the most of it. And then Rogers also had kind of a screen. It was a quick right off the snap, quick screen to Garrett. Beat DJ Reed on the sideline. I would say it was probably about 10, 15 yards, of course, with no pads. He ended up taking it all the way down to the end zone. But in a real game scenario, it was probably realistically 10 to 12 yards. But just that quick screen, quick pass, beats Reed, beats the first corner on the sideline, gets to the second level, and picks up, 10 to 12 yards, which I'm sure we will see a lot of this year. If you go back to that Jets-Giants preseason game last year, we saw that as well. So a lot of positives there from a Garrett Wilson Rogers perspective. And they're always talking to each other. Today they're always chatting with each other. They're always talking. Twice today they were off to the side while the first team offense wasn't there talking. So a lot of positives from those two. We'll get more into that here in a little bit. In terms of the running backs, Braylon Allen early in practice had a really nice, strong 5 to 6 yard run. It's really difficult to gauge the running backs and what they're doing because there's no pads. So these plays all get extended. Like even if they would to get bring down, they still finish out their runs and still go upfield about another 10, 15 yards. So every run with no pads seems like a 15-yard run because they just finish off the play and just keep running. So I'm sure Monday and then, of course, Tuesday in person, we'll get a better look of the running backs because it's tough to react while they have no pads because they're not really being brought down. They continue to play. But there was the nice run by Allen, probably 5 to 6 yards with pads. He ended up kept on running it, but you saw some of the strength. You saw some of the speed. You just saw like a good downhill running style for that rep. And that was really positive. And he's gotten a lot of reps with the one. So he seems pretty much locked in. Not that this is much of a surprise, but he seems pretty much locked into that number 2 spot alongside Breece Hall, where he's had a really strong camp so far. Breece also had a couple good runs. I saw about 4 or 5 back-to-back plays during the drive to field period. Something I noticed, Isaiah Davis is getting a lot of reps in the red zone. During red zone drills, he's getting a lot of reps with the first team. I saw that on Thursday when they were doing drive the field drills. He had 2 runs back-to-back in the red zone. And then again today, he had a run in the red zone. So the Jets have kind of used Davis a lot when they've gotten inside the red zone. And then again today during red zone drills as kind of their red zone short yardage back in that situation, which is kind of an interesting development for your third RB to be getting those first team reps. So definitely something to keep an eye on the rest of camp, but he's obviously eating up a lot of those first team red zone reps, along with Breece as well. Breece had, I think, a run today when they were doing the red zone drills as well. But Isaiah Davis has certainly got some more reps down in that area than maybe some would expect. Izzy had another nice run today, got to the second level, showed off some of the speed. Still interesting. He's working with the third team, getting some reps with the second team, but it still feels like he's exclusively working majority with the third team. And then Xavier Valade had a really nice run today. He was working with the second team. So still very interesting. And of course, you got Tariq Cohen as well, getting some reps with the second team, getting some reps with the third team. Still kind of interesting. I would still say that Tariq Cohen, out of the 3 of them, probably has the inside track. But Izzy, it still feels like is kind of still buried. Not many second team reps, a lot of third team reps. So we'll see how that develops the rest of camp. Talked a lot about the wide receivers already. Garrett Wilson, Rogers talking a lot. Essentially, it feels like after each team drill, they are talking, which is great to see. It's good to see 2 guys that are still building chemistry, 2 guys that are, wide receiver, quarterback wide receiver duo, and hopefully one of the best in the league this year. So continuing to work together. Garrett Wilson has had his way with DJ Reed. He has really kind of torn apart DJ Reed so far. DJ Reed has done very well against almost every other receiver except Garrett Wilson. So that's positive for him, but he's definitely had his way with Reed so far. Lazard talked about him continuing to impress. Another touchdown today. Corley getting those valuable reps. And, some of the bottom of the depth chart guys. Malik Taylor looking good. Brownlee looked really good today. Tyler Harrell, I think, for the first time all camp, had a really good couple reps, had back-to-back nice catches. And Garrett Wilson actually on the sideline went over to him to kind of hype him up a little bit after his 2 nice plays. So, again, I don't really know the chance of Tyler Harrell making this roster, but he is an interesting player to watch because he's very, very fast. He's a speedster. Still probably needs more work, more seasoning as a wide receiver, but in terms of speed and athleticism, he's got a lot of the good traits there. Offensive line wise, the main development I saw, main thing I took away, good day for them, but it was a lot of it was Carter Warren was getting first team reps today. So for the most part, it's been Max Mitchell who's gotten the first team reps at right tackle while Morgan Moses has been out. Today was Carter Warren, which was, I think, a good thing, right? Carter Warren, best case scenario, he is your right tackle of the future. We'll see. He's got a lot of work to do, of course. He was a 4th round pick, so you are asking a lot out of a 4th round pick to be your right tackle of the future, especially with how some of the draft picks have gone for the Jets up front in the past. But got reps with the first team, which I think is really, really valuable. And Max Mitchell's done well, and nothing against Max Mitchell, but I think it's a good thing that Carter Warren got those first team reps being in for Morgan Moses, similar to Olu getting those first team reps yesterday and for Tyron Smith. And Olu at the end of practice today, during the final set of team drills, got first team reps because Smith didn't participate in those final set of team drills as the Jets kind of limited him late in some of these practices. So that was 2 notes for some of the younger guys. AVT participated in team drills except for the end of practice. He's obviously on a pitch count, as Salah said. Tyron Smith, Jermaine Johnson battles were a lot of fun today. It felt like Jermaine maybe won more today than he did on Thursday. It felt like Thursday, Tyron Smith was a brick wall, and it felt like today, Jermaine Johnson won more of those battles. So those are going to be really fun battles the rest of camp. There's going to be days where Jermaine wins, and then there's going to be days where Tyron Smith wins. They're going to really go at it, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Overall, very positive for the offensive line, especially for Joe Tippmann, another guy who has talked to Rodgers a lot on the sideline. You see him and Garrett Wilson, they're all kind of tied at the hip. All of them, they're all talking to Rodgers and trying to, ask questions, get his say on things, obviously learn from him, talk about things. From a blocking perspective, Tippmann's been fine. The only thing I've noticed with Tippmann, which I think Rodgers too talked to him about, he's had some bad snaps. Thursday, he had a couple arid snaps. I know yesterday he had a couple snaps that were a little arid, and even Thursday. So the last 3 days, he's had some bad snaps, and Rodgers has told him about it. Rodgers has let him hear it, and it's a learning point for him. I'm not concerned, but 3 of the 4 days of camps, the snaps from Tippmann, blocking's been fine, but the snaps from him have been a little iffy. So, again, not panicking. It's 4 days of camp, but something to keep an eye on that. Hope he can knock off, some of that rust, because there was a play today, really high snap. Rodgers had to go up, get it one-handed during red zone drills, and if it was a good snap, he probably would have been able to get it to Garrett Wilson for a touchdown across the middle. But since it was a high snap, the timing was off after that, and by the time Rodgers kind of got it, settled it, found Garrett, it was too late. Threw it to him incomplete, too late. Coverage already caught up. Sauce already caught up to him. But at first, if it was a good snap, Garrett beat Sauce at first. So just little things like that you would like to see be a little smoother, but no real complaints with the offensive line, considering where we were last year, where we were sitting here on July 27th last year, no clue what the starting 5 combination would even look like. And here we are. Morgan Moses will probably take the field next week, so that'll be positive. So that's the offense. As for the defense, we'll get to Hassan Reddick here in a second because there was a positive report about him. But I have to talk about Takk McKinley. This was a guy, comes into OTAs, comes into minicamp, kind of a non-roster invite, gets an invite to training camp, signs a contract for training camp. One of these reclamation project first-round picks out of UCLA in 2017 that spent the first 4 years in Atlanta, never really worked out, then went to Cleveland for a year, then went to the Rams for a year, and then last year didn't play at all in the regular season. Was, I believe, on practice squad last year. I believe he was on Dallas's practice squad last season, all of last year, and even part of 2022. So hasn't seen regular season playing time since October of 2022. So almost 2 years has he not played in a real game, and was practice squad last year for Dallas. Comes in, performs well in OTAs, performs well in minicamp, and now in training camp, he has been a monster. 2 sacks today on Peasley, potential third on Tyrod Taylor. Had 2 sacks on Peasley, a possible sack on Taylor, but if not, 2 sacks and a pressure. And through 4 days of camp, this is a guy that's got already like 6 sacks if it would be a real game, actual sack environment where they can actually, he would have like 6 what would be sacks. Because, of course, they don't actually take the quarterback down in training camp, as we all know. So just absolutely crazy what he has done. And he actually got rewarded a little bit because a lot of this has come, good chunk of them have come against Peasley and the third team. But he's got rewarded today. He started to get some second team reps. And even at the end of practice, he got some first team reps. It wasn't many, but if I recall seeing it correctly, the last set of team drills, the last play or two, he was out there for first team reps. So McKinley's been great. I've said it for a while that I think the 4th edge rusher spot for the Jets is kind of I know they really like Clemens, and that's what'll make it tough, but McKinley is making it really, really hard for the New York Jets if they have to cut him. So far, if he continues this trend, you got to hope that if you do cut him, that he can land on the practice squad, because it feels similar to Tanzel Smart in a way last year, but better, where Tanzel Smart was very good last year, very good during camp, obviously a Hard Knocks legend. But, McKinley, he's blowing up almost every single play. That's how good he's been. And he's just beating these guys clean off the edge. Clean. So McKinley's definitely a name to continue to watch. It'll be interesting to see once the pad come on how he looks as well. And if the Jets start rewarding him with more second team and maybe even some first team reps. Of course, when Hassan Reddick comes back, that'll throw a wrinkle into things, because then everybody kind of gets bumped down one. Clemens won't really see first team reps. McDonald won't see a ton of first team reps. Then it'll really just be Reddick and Jermaine Johnson, and McKinley will mainly be stuck on the third team. But for the time being, he's been great. He's been excellent. Speaking of Clemens, he had a really nice rep against the second team, and Tyrod actually pressured Tyrod. I seemed like kind of fumbled it. He went to go like fake throw and then maybe scramble, and the ball kind of got, just fell out of his hands. So good rep by Clemens. Clemens and Will McDonald again today, split reps first team wise. From what I've gathered on Thursday and today, it feels like early in practice, Clemens gets the first team reps, and then later in practice, Will McDonald gets the first team reps. So Clemens and Will McDonald continue to kind of split those first team reps at edge, which is, it felt like the first 2 days it was all Clemens. And then the last 2 days, it's kind of been more split, which is, I think, a positive. Will McDonald deserves to get some of those reps, and those reps are really good for him. So, again, when Hassan Reddick comes back, this will all kind of be irrelevant, because Reddick's going to eat up all those first team reps alongside Jermaine Johnson on the other end. So this will be irrelevant but right now, they seems like they're both splitting first team reps. And McDonald had a really nice pressure. He actually had a pressure on Rodgers, got to him fast. You saw the speed. That spin move that he tries to pull off is nasty when it works. It really is. But he had a really nice pressure late in practice, beat Schweitzer cleanly, completely blew past him. Just his speed, athleticism, burst off the line, beat Schweitzer cleanly. You could see the potential there, and gets the Rodgers for a pressure. Probably would have been a sack in a real game. more defensive line notes. Solomon Thomas on one of the plays got to the backfield to blow up a Braylon Allen play. And those are the main ones. Those are the main defensive line takeaways. Now, another big takeaway, another big thing we have to discuss here, because it was breaking news earlier today, was Hassan Reddick. And that is a positive Hassan Reddick report. So Josina Anderson this afternoon, basically right as Jet practice ended, reported and said, I'm told Hassan Reddick's talks with the Jets progressed positively this week. And as of earlier today, there's recent hope that Reddick's presence and acclimation process with the team is approaching per sources. Reddick is currently holding out from training camp and missed spring practices. The situation has remained fluid over this duration. Reddick, who recorded 15.5 sacks in the past 4 seasons and made the key play on the 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy in an NFC Championship game 2 seasons ago, is expected to boost the Jets' pass rush. So that was Josina Anderson at the time of this recording about 4 hours ago on Reddick. And I've said it for a while now. I think I predicted Reddick would probably come back sometime next week. And it seems like it's starting to develop that way. Pads come on. Not that things start to get desperate from Reddick's situation, but, this is already 4 practices. He's already paid a lot of money in fines. Pads start to come on. Things start to get a little bit more real next week. And in the coming weeks, preseason games start. You've got joint practices in 2 weeks. Things start to really pick up. So as those things start to pick up, Reddick will come back. Really positive report there. It seems like they're close. And who knows? Maybe they get something done. Ideally, it'd be awesome to get something done tomorrow and he's out there Monday. It'll be interesting to see if he's out there right away or if they have an acclimation process at all for him, because he hasn't done anything this offseason to see kind of where he's at in terms of football shape. But yeah, positive report there on Hassan Reddick, as the Jets could be getting their big time trade pass rusher back here. Hopefully soon. Just some other notes defensively. Sherwood had a really nice pass breakup at the line on Rodgers. That was one of the plays that sparked a Rodgers-Garrett Wilson discussion. Was trying to get to Garrett. Got the ball out, but just broken up by Sherwood. So nice play by him. And in some of the cornerback stuff, DJ Reed had a nice pass breakup on Lazard. Like I said, DJ Reed's been doing well against any receiver not named Garrett Wilson. So while everybody sees DJ Reed getting beat by Garrett Wilson, I don't think Jets fans should. You gotta take that with a grain of salt. You're losing some of you need a little bit more context when it comes to DJ Reed and maybe what seems like preseason or training camp struggles, but he's been fine against everybody else. Just Garrett Wilson's got his number so far. And again, today, I was not surprised, but Sauce still not traveling. There was a couple plays, Sauce and Garrett today, but wasn't a ton of action. Definitely a little bit more action between those two on Thursday. And there was also a little bit of a fight today as well. Have to mention that. Fight, John Simpson. From my vantage point, it was actually right after the DJ Reed pass breakup. So I was kind of looking at that, and DJ Reed, I was watching him celebrate. And then all of a sudden you look over and there's a big scrum. It seemed like, I know for a fact it was John Simpson from the offense that was involved. And then from what I've seen from reports and others in attendance, it was Jermaine Johnson on defense. So it seemed like it was a little Jermaine Johnson, John Simpson battle there in the trenches. So first, I guess, camp fight wasn't much of a fight, more of a scrum, I would say. There wasn't any punches thrown or anything like that, which we have seen in past years. And I'm sure we will see that when pads get on. Because pads get on, tempers start to flare a little bit more. Things are a lot more physical. So I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that. But it was more of a scrum, not really a fight. It was more of a heated scrum, I would say. But from what it seems like, it was John Simpson and Jermaine Johnson. And I'm sure some others as well, pushing and shoving. So that's that. Got to cover the training camp fights as always. So that's the update. Day number 4. Like I said, Good day for the offense. I thought it was a better day for the defense. Offense still won the day, but certainly positive takeaways from a defense perspective. And of course, one of the biggest positives today was seeing that things seem to be progressing in a positive direction, closer to a Son Reddick contract agreement of some sorts, most likely a Band-Aid deal between the New York Jets and the star pass rusher. So unless if any major news comes out, we'll probably be back. Unless if, Hassan Reddick signs, then we'll obviously have an episode on that. But with the day off camp tomorrow, we'll have more player previews coming up next week. It'll all start Monday morning with 2 new players to start another week of player previews. And of course, we'll also have training camp recaps all throughout next week after each practice, including my in-person takeaways again for Tuesday's practice. So stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way. For those of you on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe, and talk to you soon. Until then, Jets, Jets, Jets.